Thomas was resting at the junction one day when James pulled in with some coaches. "Good morning," Thomas said cheerfully. "Huh," grunted James. "There's nothing good about it." "Why?" "Take a look for yourself." Your paintwork is dirty for the umpteenth time?" "It is, but that's not it." "Because you're not pulling the express?" "No." "Go on then, what's gotten your goat today?" "Look at these coaches," James fumed. "They look like they haven't been cleaned for years, decades even." "It's simple, the Fat Controller just doesn't trust me with anything important these days. That's why he's always treating me like I'm a mixed traffic engine." James pretended he hadn't heard. "If you ask me," Thomas advised, "the reason he doesn't trust you is because you get far too puffed up in the smoke box and something always goes wrong." And on that note, Thomas cheekily puffed away. This made James more cross than ever. "The audacity! Oh, two can play that game, Thomas." And James set off, thinking of a way to pay Thomas out. The next day, James had been sent to fetch a train of coal from the other railway. He was still thinking of a way to get back at Thomas. As he backed down on his trucks, he let off steam noisily. "Steady on, James," calmed his driver. "We'll be off before you know it." "Be quick about it," James grumbled. James's driver and fireman were going along the train, making sure the brakes were off and that the right number of trucks were present. James was getting impatient. "Oh, do hurry up!" "This coal is important," his fireman scolded. "Without it, you or the other engines wouldn't be able to work." "Indeed," agreed the driver. "I'd be patient, James. Otherwise it might come back to hit you in the tender." James was about to reply when it hit him. "This coal is important, I suppose. Very important. What did Thomas say again? I always get far too puffed up. Something always goes wrong. Every time that happens, it's when I get an important job," he realised. "I always end up making some sort of mistake. Crashing, failing, the like. I get ideas above my station, that's why." "All right, James, we're ready," his crew called back. "If I make a mistake this time round, the Fat Controller won't trust me with anything again. I'll show him I can do something important." He set off with a roar. "Oh, oh, oh!" came the trucks. "There's something up with James, I just know it," sighed the driver. James made excellent time. He stopped promptly at all the signals and was kind to the trucks. And because of that, the trucks didn't push him down Gordon's Hill when they came to it. "You're doing well, boy," his driver said, "but we'll have to go a bit faster if we're to reach the yards on time." "Faster?" "Of course." As they approached the junction station, James began to increase his speed. "I've got to prove myself," he said with determination. The signalman was eating his lunch on a bench on the platform. "Is that James? I thought he wasn't due for another 10 minutes. Oh, botheration!" He scrambled towards the box, but it was too late. "Stop!" Ah! "Oh dear," James groaned. "For crying out loud!" snapped Thomas. Why don't you look where you're going, you clumsy red oaf? You'd be lucky my coaches were empty." "Oh." "And what do we have here?" came a familiar voice. Both engines could see it was the Fat Controller. "I would like whoever caused this accident to own up by the time I have finished talking to these workmen." And he turned away. Both engines exchanged annoyed glances. "You shouldn't have been coming so fast." "Well, you shouldn't have been in my way. I couldn't help that." The Fat Controller turned back. "All right, who was it?" Thomas and James were silent for a bit. "It was Thomas." "What?" "He knew I was coming. He was in my path, but—" The Fat Controller turned to Thomas. "Thomas?" It wasn't me, I swear. He crashed into me." "My engines don't lie," the Fat Controller said sternly. "As a punishment, you'll be shunting in the yard until you can be trusted." "Thanks a lot, James." Then James reconsidered his decision. The Fat Controller was about to get into his car when James spoke up. Sir, it wasn't Thomas who caused that accident. It was me. I was rushing. The fat controller folded his arms. Well, thank you for owning up, James, but why ever did you come in so fast? Because I was trying to prove I can do something without messing up. Whatever do you mean? Every time I get a special job, I always make a fool of myself. Remember when I took the train of visitors and stalled on the level crossing? When I took the inspector home and came right off the rails? And now look. Sir, I'll quite happily stay in the sheds for a few days, if it means not causing any more accidents. Thank you, James, that will do. The fat controller thought. James, your position is a completely understandable one. Making mistakes is a natural part of life. We all make 'em, me especially. But instead of feeling sorry for ourselves, we have to learn from our mistakes and make sure we become better people from them. I understand, sir. Now then, the breakdown crew will be here in a few minutes. I'll be off to see to some paperwork. And the fat controller left. Then Thomas noticed something. What? Your trucks are still on the rails, James. What's that supposed to mean? If this was any other incident with yours, they'd be scattered all over the place. Oh, don't think I haven't forgiven you, though. It wasn't long before James had been put back on the rails. James, on second thoughts, I'm sorry for saying what it was I said, apologised Thomas. If I hadn't, this whole mess wouldn't have happened. Don't worry about it, laughed James. I was the one who actually caused it to begin with. Either way, it's all right now. James felt happy. But you're still accident-prone, though. What was that? Oh, nothing. Thank you, James.